From BLC Studios in Mankato, Minnesota, this is the Maverick Hockey Live Podcast, presented by Dunkin, with your host, Shane Frederick.
Welcome to the Maverick Hockey Live Podcast, presented by Dunkin. I'm the host, Shane Frederick, and joining me today is Minnesota State forward Brendan Furry. How are you doing today?
Pretty good.
That's good. That's good. Welcome to the podcast. And the Mavericks are coming off a loss and a win at Ferris State on their first road weekend for conference play in the CCHA. So far, through 10 games, Brendan's got 11 points, off to a pretty good start, 4 goals, 7 assists. His first season playing for the Mavericks last year, he had 13 points in 28 games. So almost hitting that number. So taking a big leap in his second year playing. I guess first of all, maybe we'll just talk about that since we're going at it. What do you think is it just getting used to playing the college game, and after some time off, when we can get to your time off before that a little bit later?
Yeah, I mean, like you said, just going from that freshman year, taking that year off. But yeah, I mean, from the start last year, it's all about getting that pace down. College is a different level. Coming in, you have that confidence out of juniors, and a lot of guys do, and we recruit a lot of older guys. So we're kind of, thriving as we're coming into here. So I think that's really cool how they recruit here. But so when you get here, it's a little bit of a wake-up call. And Hasty kind of, make sure that. He knows that this league's hard and it's all earned. So yeah, last year was definitely a big learning curve. A lot of talks with coach, sitting down, making sure that we hit those points of the game that, you can develop on. And I think this year, I've incorporated a lot of those things. We've talked about the ground game numerous times. Mm-hmm. And that I've instilled in my game, and being a reliable 200-foot player all around the rink, and being able to get put out in any situation. So I think I've really matured, I would say, my game this year especially. Just taking on, as an upperclassman, you have to be a leader as well to the younger guys. And so just things like that. I've definitely tried and strived to work on this past summer and then coming into this year. And I think it's just, you're seeing some results there. But we have a really good group this year, and we can do something really special.
Going back, I remember seeing you around the rink the 2019 and 20 season. In fact, it took me quite a while to figure out who the heck you were, because I think you were rehabbing an injury, or rehabbing coming off some surgery. Yep. Plus, you had to sit out the year for eligibility reasons with transfer, because you had signed an NLI, right, with Niagara. So all those rules that were in effect that cost players years of service time, unfortunately.
I wish it was a year later, because they ended up giving that year that free eligibility, or the free transfer rule. So 1 year. So wish I was a year late.
So maybe we can just back up a little bit, and you can talk a little bit about that and your history, and then we'll go back to that season when you were sitting out a lot of the year. You're from Toledo, Ohio, and you had kind of seemed like you're a little bit of a late bloomer in terms of coming on as a college prospect. Yeah, and didn't really even have an intention of playing Division I college hockey out of those school days. Can you talk about that a little bit?
Yeah, it's kind of a unique story. I like to tell it in the sense of, hopefully it motivates some people. So coming out of high school, I live 20 minutes from Bowling Green. So I had plans right after the season that I was just going to go to school, and I was going to play club hockey at Bowling Green. And I had a couple guys in the area, local pros from Toledo, that just talked to me, and they said they think that I should try out, go up north for a season, play U18s up in Detroit. So I went up for a summer tournament, did pretty well. The coach came out to me and offered me a spot right after that tournament was over. So I sat down with my parents, and they're like, if you're going to do this, if we're going to pay for this, you're going to start putting in the work. And it was kind of right there as a flip of the switch. It was like, if they're able to somehow manage to, they got other kids to worry about too, spending money, putting money here. We're at private high schools. So there's a lot of money I'm thankful for them to give me that opportunity, and they let me go up there, and I had a really good year, proved myself. Ended up getting a tender in the Null with Amarillo. Played a couple games there after the U18 season, and then ended up after that season. That's when I ended up getting that scholarship from Niagara. I was young. It was there was a lot being thrown at me at once. It was like I went from nothing to really just not really, thinking I had a career in hockey to boom, like season's over. Then you go get a tender, and then I'm getting offered a scholarship from Niagara University. So it all happened quite fast. And then ended up making Omaha as a free agent. Went there, had a really good camp, made their 30-man, and then from there on out, I just kind of rode the wave. It kind of all started from that mentality of when my parents sat me down. They're like, "You're going to put in the work every day." So that's how it was. That's when I kind of like created that mentality for myself that I was gonna earn this. I was gonna prove people wrong. That we don't have many kids from our area, like especially that have played high school hockey, that move on and can do. So I hope it's just a little motivational piece to kind of just younger guys up in the game that want to go and try. It doesn't matter where you are, what you're doing. It's just your goals and what you want to get to. So I stuck with that, and playing after 1 year of juniors, I sat down with my coaches, and they thought they think I rushed the process a little bit coming with the Niagara. Mm-hmm. So they sat me down, and they're like, "Is this is that where your heart truly is?" And I don't think it really was. I'm thankful for the opportunity that Niagara gave me.
Sure,
absolutely, but I truly found my home here, and I'm glad that it all worked out. And I mean, it was so worth it to sit out that year to be able to watch that, especially that team that could have been that freshman year team.
That is the could have been team, right?
Absolutely. And so just from being able to watch them and learn from them, and then on like continuous conversations with coach and stuff, I've developed as a human being, and then even a better player as well, just from being here. So I'm really thankful for that.
When you were here that year, like you said, you had to sit out anyway, and I think you had surgery and you were rehabbing for part of that year. But then I think somewhere late in the season or second half of the season, you began practicing with them, right? You were able to get on the ice. Obviously, you weren't eligible for games. So you really got to see firsthand, what that team was like. Certainly pre-COVID, thinking that this is a Frozen Four type of team, possibly a national championship type team. Mark Michaelis, Nick Rivera, who probably similar game to you to some degree.
Absolutely.
You probably look at that and say that experience, even just practicing with them, probably prepped you a lot for what was to come.
And it really all starts from the group of guys that we had that year. Like you said, you named off, Parker Toomey, Mark Michaelis, Charlie Gerard, all those guys. They could have just basically pushed me to the curb, and, just as a guy that's just there but not playing. They didn't. They brought me in. I felt like a family, immediately. So big shout out to those guys for that senior class that you're bringing me in and making me feel like I'm one of the guys. So that was really cool. But yeah, it's that group, especially being able to, it was Christmas time I came back.
Okay.
After we waited as long as we could with my shoulder, rehabbed it, got it back to 100%. Got back on the ice, and I was throwing right back, like right into the Wolves. Coaching, I was out there, I had to be going, and those older guys, coaches, everybody pushed me to be my best. And just from sitting back and watching how they do everything every day, work ethic and practice, the little things, the details, I think it just shows the caliber of team we had that year and what could have been. And just being able to watch in the stands and see how they make, what's going on in games and stuff like that, just different situations. I really learned a lot that year, being able to talk one-on-one with some of the guys nonstop. So like I said, I'm really thankful for that opportunity.
Playing a lot of scout PK too against a pretty good power play, right?
Yeah, absolutely. I was always on the mock power play against the penalty kill. So I was, you always get thrown in those situations. It's pretty cool.
That's great. And then it just prepares you to go into, I remember talking to Coach Knott about, the upcoming season and freshmen who are coming in, and sometimes, you know, guys who are in your situation, it's easy for me as a media member sometimes to kind of almost forget about it because people get excited about who are the new recruits and well, here's the list, and you know, where did they play last year and what were their stats, and they're going to be freshmen this year. And you know, Coach Connaught more than once kind of reminded me, oh, and we also have Brendan Furry coming in, so don't forget him because we really like what we've seen on him so far. So, you know, don't forget that. But then you'd see things on social media and people kind of picking the, you know, what's the roster going to look like without these players, and you know, just you end up kind of flying under the radar a little bit when you sit out a year, right?
Oh yeah, you're just that, and that's almost the hardest part about it is. Mentally, you just know that, you know, you're not involved in those conversations and stuff like that, and you're just, it almost pushes you to feel like you're not a part of the team, and that's why I said it was really big for those guys to keep me in that loop all the time with everything. So yeah, it's definitely easy to just get pushed to the side when you're a guy that's just, you know, not in the lineup occasionally, stuff like that, like little things. So it was really big that year for me to work on my mental side of the game, especially more so than just rehabbing and getting back out there.
Right. And that's what a testament to a program that I think certainly a lot of people have heard other players than yourself say that about this particular program, that the way that people are brought into the fold, whether they're freshmen, whether they're transfers, I think Benton Mass mentioned it in a previous podcast this year. He came in with Jack McNeely and talked a little bit about, you know, right away in the summer feeling like he was part of this. I mean, here's a guy who's in his 5th year of college hockey. You know, are people looking over their shoulders saying, you know, all right, you're here for 1 year. What are you going to do? And said, no, you're part of this. You're helping us. We have goals here and you're going to be part of that. And this is how, really, I think says a lot for kind of the culture that's been built here at Minnesota State.
Oh, absolutely. That's the cool thing about coming in the summer. We get that a little head start on getting the freshmen acclimated to the university, this, you know, kind of just how things are run here. And then I think a big thing, we talk about family so much here, because eventually at the end of the day, it's our team, and Coach emphasizes that he can do all he can to guide us and direct us to, you know, how we're going to play and stuff. But at the end of the day, we're the ones on the ice and got to do it. So I think that starts with our leadership group, and it works all the way down. And, you know, Wyatt, Reggie, Jack, they've done a great job this year, making sure we stay, you know, compact and we don't break. Right. I mean, we have, like we said, we have a really good team this year, and we can do something really special. So it's our bus, and we just have to drive it every day.
What was it like last year? I mean, you know, we mentioned your numbers and how you're almost at those same numbers. Did you feel like you had a specific role last year to play? Was it just a matter? I mean, it was such a weird season too, you know, stands being empty and a limited number of games compared to, you know, a normal schedule. And, you know, I don't know when you really felt comfortable or when you really kind of took off. Certainly, you know, people know how you and Ryan Sandlin and I think Sam Morton, right, played together in the NCAA tournament last year. That line ended up being so good. And
we're back, by the way.
So important. You're back? Yeah.
Yeah, for now. Yeah, hopefully.
For now.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's Coach Hastings, whenever I would ask him, so you got those 3 playing together again? And I think he would look at me and go, for now.
Yeah, for now.
It's up to them.
Yeah, exactly. It always depends.
Yeah.
Different situations.
But was there a point last year where you felt like really comfortable from a playing standpoint, not necessarily from a group standpoint, which it seemed like that was there from the beginning?
Yeah. I think it came in roughly the middle part of the year. Like I said, after numerous meetings with Coach, we sat down and he started pointing out some of the things that he really liked in my game. The below the goal line, I have a big body, so I can protect the puck. When I move my feet, I'm effective. So things like that, we really started to break those down. And as I started to really basically focus on them every night, I started to see the effectiveness I was having on the ice. And I think at one point he threw me and Walker together, and it was me, Walker, and Spooner, I think. Yeah,
that's a big line.
And Coach always came in and it was like, you guys are 200 pounds each, a 600-pound forward line. He goes, no one should be able to, you know, knock you off the puck, and you guys should be able to, work it below the goal line. And that's where it was right there. It was like, I remember in the locker room, we called it the ground game. And that's been instilled in our philosophy of how we play all the time. So yeah, at one point, I think last year it just kind of hit and I was like, I'm really effective that way. And instead of so much more, I guess as you come off that year, you want to be effective. You want to have that, the points and stuff to help the team, the goals. But I think I really flushed that and I just focused on like being that 200-foot player that can be reliable in all situations. Because sometimes it's not always about, the coach calls it the candy, the points, the assists and stuff. It's you got to be able to do the other things. And the more things you have in a basket that potential pro teams can look at, being on the penalty kill, being able to win important face-offs, things like that. Those are the things that you can put into this basket that help build like a resume for yourself. So I really started to focus on just different aspects of my game instead of just the offensive, moving to the defensive side. And as time went on throughout the season, just being more and more comfortable. It just makes it so much easier, and then you can build that confidence. And it's just kind of like a snowball. It just gets bigger and bigger as it rolls down the hill as you keep moving. And I would say I definitely just used that and kind of went with the flow of how it is and just being an everydayer and just putting in my work.
Sure. Yeah. And it's interesting. You go to the NCAA tournament, and we mentioned your line, and Ryan Sandlin obviously had a couple big goals in the tournament, and you guys as a group played so effectively that all of a sudden you're noticed, right? I mean, and it's and you're looking for maybe those unsung heroes, because sometimes in those games that's what it comes down to, because there's so much focus on a scoring player, whether it's Julian, whether it's Nathan Smith, and another team's going to really put all their efforts into trying to stop them. So then it becomes, who else is going to step up? I don't know if that's exactly how it happened or why it happened, but certainly you guys became an effective group over a couple of games there. What do you think it was? Was it just a matter of, it seems like probably for all three of you was probably similar to what you just described.
Yeah, it was. The funny thing was, I think going into the game, we weren't even on the first Quinnipiac game. We weren't even on the line together.
That's right.
Coach made some changes during the game, late in the game. And I think it was like the second period of the game, we had a shift together and we dominated. And we were pretty dominant that second period. And third period came around. He's like, I'm going to keep you three together. And I'm pretty sure we might have started that third period as well. And we just kind of went from there. You kind of, especially in that big of a stage, first off, we knew we were going to come back to that game. We just needed that one bounce to get us going. And I think it was just building off each other, knowing what we can do. And we realized that we were almost the energy bugs of the team. We were trying to spark the team because we hadn't, I think it was shift after shift after shift. And so we looked at each other and we're like, if someone's going to do it, I think it's going to be us. And we went from there. And coach came up to us after we scored the overtime goal, and he was going, nuts. And it was such a big deal. It was so cool. And he talked to us right after the game, and he's like, I'm going to keep you guys together tomorrow. And I think right then and there, we were like, we can do it again against anybody if we play like this. So yeah, it was just buying into into what we know we can do best. And like you said, it's cool when you're not the goal scorer that everyone looks at and stuff, and you get that. Like, I'm super happy that Sandy was able to put that in and have some big goals, and Mo scoring the next night and Sandy scoring again. But I think it just came down to just sticking to what we did best. I mean, I'm glad it worked out, and we still have that chemistry to this day. We played a little bit last Saturday together, and it's like we didn't even miss a beat. So, I mean, hopefully it was just a hidden gem and we just found it, and it's pretty cool, actually.
Yeah, we'll see how long that lasts.
Yeah, absolutely.
keep it going.
Yeah.
Right? You had a big game a couple weeks ago against Northern Michigan, and your first collegiate hat trick, and I think the first hat trick for MSU in a while. 4-point game, the hat trick in 24 minutes something.
Yeah.
And then by the end of the game, everybody forgot about you. because of Dryden McKay.
You know how many times we were in the locker room and they're like, Furs, you know how, like, what a bad night to get a hat trick, right? And it's just something you laugh off at that point, because one game compared to 27 shutouts is just something that you're so proud of Dryden for what he's accomplished. And any given day, I'd give up that 3-goal hat trick to, you know, have him have his moment, because that's something special that we may never see again.
Yeah, I think just the moment, and as a sports writer and someone who observes a lot of this stuff, I just love to look at those little moments. And I thought one of a great one was, I think everybody knew it was coming, that, you know, when they announced the 3 stars of the game, that you were going to end up being the number 2 star, despite the great night offensively. And, you know, they announced you came out and then just stayed out there to kind of get the crowd going, get a little hype up for Dryden. And I just thought that was a classy moment. Not that I really expected anything less from any of the players, but I just thought that was a cool moment, and I'm sure that was a part that you probably enjoyed too.
Yeah. I mean, like I said, it's even at one point it's like emotional even talking about that, because you know how much work Dryden's put in to get there, and just being able to see the big smile on his face and how happy he was to finally, I feel, just get it over with so he can still continue and focus on the rest of the season. So like I said, at that point it wasn't about me. You know, the team had 2 big wins that weekend. Those were big, but, you know, I felt like it was just needed to just let him have his moment. And yeah, it was cool to be a part of it, to be able to hype up the crowd a little bit and just be there for him and right by his side.
What's it like as a player, especially like a 200-foot player who's going to be out there, whether it's defensive zone draws, just playing, you know, responsibly in your own end? A shutout in general, you're trying so hard to keep that 0 on the board for your goaltender. But in that moment, everybody knows. I know Coach Hastings said, like, no one said it, but everybody knew it. What's it like? You guys let 2 shots get to him that third period and really didn't give Northern Michigan a sniff at all. Can you just talk a little bit about what's going through your mind in that situation as a player when you get your shift, whether it's to keep the puck in deep on your own at the offensive end, or just what you're doing on the defensive end, when that little extra incentive's in your mind, or in this case, probably a lot extra incentive.
Yeah. So going into that third period, I remember there wasn't even a sniff of even thinking about the shutout at one point. We were just going to go out there and play our game. We came out strong. And then at the 10-minute mark, you could see a change in the whole bench. And it was like, I think Coach made a comment. He's like, know what you're playing for. And that comment, like, you know, you have the curse, you don't say it. It's the dreaded word. You do not talk about the shutout until it's over. So he's like, know what you're playing for. And right then and there, I think all the guys knew. They knew the importance behind, we have 10 minutes left. If we can give 10 minutes of our best hockey, there's no way they're going to get a sniff of scoring a goal. So like you said, like, thinking about, like, before you're going out for a shift, there's a couple times during that I took a deep breath. I had to take a big one. I was like, all right, going out there, just be reliable, make sure the puck gets in their end, keep it out of our end. And so coach actually started just throwing out some different combos, just making sure that we had the puck the entire time. I don't think, like, it was, if we had to regroup it, we go and regroup it. If we didn't see a look, just go back and regroup and just control the puck. And I think we did that, and you just saw the buy-in all the way from first, second, third, fourth line, you know, deep pair 1, 2, and 3. We knew what we were playing for. So it was really cool to be a part of that moment. For me, it's something I can't even talk about, that game and the process of that third period. But so I can only imagine what Drado was going through during that time as well. But
well, you made it easy on him.
Yeah, it was. It was a full team effort.
Yeah.
And I know Drado's mentioned that numerous times, but you know, without that guy back there, you know, who knows how many games, you know, we've won or lost without him. So he's a special player, and we're thankful for him.
Yeah, impressive. Just an impressive person too. And I always find him interesting to interview because I've interviewed other goaltenders, and he just seems about as laid back as like any other player on the ice.
Yeah.
You know, other goaltenders, you're kind of like, don't talk to him because he's in his zone or he's doing this. Dryden never seems that way.
Yeah, goalies always got their weird little superstitions and stuff. We always call them the weird ones of the team because they just got so much. And I mean, who wants to take a 90-mile-an-hour slap shot at them, So, but yeah, Dryden's really laid back, and you wouldn't even, I don't think you'd really know he's a goalie or whatnot.
Yeah.
He's a good dude. And like I said, we're really thankful to have him on our team.
So you get through that weekend, you go on the road to Ferris State. Obviously, first night you lose at Ferris State. Most people consider a huge upset because you're number 2 in the country, had a long winning streak against them, and they've struggled the last couple of years. I watched it online. To me, they looked like a different team, and maybe you saw a little of that even last year in the playoffs, because I think they came on and the way they played defensively.
Yep.
And they play in that rink that's about the size of this studio, I think.
Yeah, you're pretty accurate on that one.
So what do you guys learn? The first night, to bounce back, and it took a little while to bounce back too, because it was, partway through the second period before you kind of took over.
Yeah, they had a 1-0 lead. Well, after the game was over, coach came in, and it was a we problem. It wasn't anyone. It wasn't an individual. It was our issue that we had to fix. So we addressed a few things overnight through some films Saturday morning. And we just knew that we had to bounce back. It was, coach mentioned that he's okay with this if it's a learning curve, or like if we can learn from this and move on. But if it's something that we can't, then there's the issue. So I think it was a big wake up call that honestly I think we needed. Early in the year, you go in, you're on the road, you're playing a team that hasn't had success in the past, and you've had success over them for years. Yeah, I think coach mentioned today, it was like we had a 15-game winning streak over them. Yeah. So I didn't even know that. And you just see that you have all that success versus a team, and you're going into their building, and maybe you get a little comfortable, being where we are and whatnot. On our end, it's unacceptable, but it was huge for us to learn early in the year from that. So we just learn from it, move on, kind of flush it. We take everything day by day here. And Saturday night, it just took a little bit to get going, but we just got to find a way to start striking a little bit early, get off those hot starts like we had, the Northern game. We just need to be able to get on teams earlier and not let them get a sniff, because I feel like when we get going, we're hard to beat.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. This weekend, Bowling Green coming to town. They're a tough team, as you know, always has been. I mean,
always.
It's funny, I think, when the first time the conference has changed up, and I mean, you're familiar with Bowling Green going back a ways.
Yeah.
Did you go to games there as a kid and everything? Yeah.
All the time. So it's pretty cool to, I'm pretty excited to go there, and I think we go in February.
Okay.
So I got a lot of family lined up for that one.
Oh, nice.
Yeah.
Excellent. Yeah. So, I mean, and they've just been a tough team, and there's been a good rivalry. I think there was a stretch I remember writing about a couple years ago where I think the series was the regular season series anyways very even. I think MSU kind of had the advantage in the playoffs, but they've just become a real rival in this conference, and now with the CCHA being tighter and fewer teams than the old WCHA. I mean, I think it seems like they're a team that you two, the Mavericks and the Falcons, have their eyes on each other.
Yeah. They're well coached. They're always the way they play. They're gonna get in your face, and they're gonna make you take penalties. They're gonna make you turn the puck over. They're gonna make you get frustrated. That's just how they play. I think that's where that rivalry comes from, because we play the same way. Yeah. And you get in each other. I mean, you saw we had our big fight against them last year with Reese and all them. Like right. They took a couple 5s against us. I think I took a 5 against them too. Yeah. So it's definitely a rivalry that has come about in the recent years, and then especially after what happened in the WCHA finals. They've always wanted their revenge on it. So it's always exciting when they're coming into town. I think everybody knows there's a little buzz behind it. So pretty cool. But at the end of the day, we control it. We control what we got to do. So.
Did you have a favorite memory from going to their rink as a kid and watching games, or some favorite players or anything like that?
I wouldn't say more so favorite players. I knew a couple guys that played on the national championship team at BG, so they would take me back in the locker room.
Oh, cool.
I'd be able to go see them and then get the hand touches behind where nobody could go and get the, fist bump the guys. I just remember how big they were. When I was a kid, I'm like, oh, geez, these guys are massive. Like, I could never play here. And then you get there. It's pretty cool to just see.
Excellent.
Mm-hmm.
Well, I can't thank you enough for joining us today. This has been great. Best of luck this weekend against the Falcons and going forward the rest of the season. And really appreciate it.
Thank you. Appreciate it, Freddie.
All right. Well, this has been the Maverick Hockey Live Podcast, brought to you by Dunkin. I'm Shane Frederick. He's Brendan Furry. I'll see you next time.